Hi everyone, it's Mary McIntyre here. Work is completely insane at the moment. I just needed to come into my room and just have an easy project to do, to just have a bit of a break from writing and talk prep. So I was at Maker Central last weekend and I picked up some Vista Ocean resin, and I needed that because when I did my Temu haul I got these moulds which are slightly deeper than any other moulds that I have. So for that you need a deep pour resin. I have watched quite a few videos on YouTube on things to do with these crystal moulds, and I've come up with and do two slightly different things, one in each one. So this is the bigger mould, and this takes 90 mils of liquid. And what I want to do with that is use the amethyst colourant that I have, make it a little bit more concentrated at the tips, and then have that kind of almost like an ombre. Just a slight lilac-y colour, I guess it will be. I've never used these yet in resin, not that colour anyway. So that will just get filled up and just left to cure. Takes a couple of days for this resin to fully cure. This little one, well, I want to do something slightly different with this. I don't want to fill it all the way up. And once it's cured enough, I want to brush that with some colour shifting mica powder and probably top it off with black resin, just so I can see the effect of that on all these individual crystal facets. What I ultimately want to do with these is to get hold of a piece of diffraction grating film and make my own silicone inlay for it. I haven't got the stuff to do that yet. I am planning to do it because if you put a holographic insert in the bottom of these, they look really cool. So long-term plan, I will be doing that with these, but for now I just wanted to try them. I haven't used these moulds yet at all. This one holds about 75 ml of resin, but I obviously don't want to fill it all the way. For ease of measuring in terms of volume, I'm going to make up probably 150 ml possibly. Yeah, I'll see how that goes. Whenever I'm mixing resin, I usually end up pouring slightly more in the cup than I intend to. So the Vista Ocean is a 2-to-1 ratio. So you put 2 parts of part A and 1 part of part B. So I need to just kind of do the maths and figure out exactly what I'm doing. And I've got my beakers ready so that I can take some of it out and make some of it very purple and some of it lilac for this one. Then this one here will just be clear resin going in. So that's my plan. So I'm going to go off camera, get my PPE on and mix the resin off camera. You don't need to see me stirring resin for 5 minutes, and then I'll come back when I'm ready to add the colourant and start pouring. So looking forward to doing this. I hope it turns out well.
Voiceover Mary here because I had my respirator on. So I basically started adding the amethyst just drop by drop. I wanted a deep purple but not too deep, and I wasn't exactly sure how much I could put in without affecting the cure time of the resin, so I just kind of added it drop by drop until I got a colour I was happy with, and I wanted the tips to be a little bit darker, so I kind of went in and focused initially on the really tall crystals that are in this mould. This is a complicated mould, there are little crystal pillars everywhere, so I was kind of trying to look at the really tall ones first and get those with the darker tips. Then I went in and squished that because any pointed tips at the end are going to trap air bubbles. This is a very squishy mould, so I just gave them a good kind of squidge and a massage to try to help that. I then added some more clear resin to the colour that was already in the beaker just to dilute that down, and went back in and kind of poured that in. Again, initially concentrating on the pillars where I'd already added the dark, and then going around the edge on some of the not quite so tall pillars. The idea being that this would sort of create an ombre effect. I'll talk more about that in a second and why I think it didn't work properly. So again, rather than just pouring clear, I added it in to get yet another pale purple colour out of this and poured that in. I could see that it was absolute bubble central. So what was left of the clear resin I poured in the other mould and tried to top this one up. Now, for a change, I didn't actually make enough resin. I wish I'd mixed up some more. It would have made life a lot easier for me. So like with the pillar mould, this one has lots of symmetrical pointed pillars in it. So I spent quite a good amount of time going around and squidging the tips of all of them, trying to dislodge any air bubbles that were getting trapped in those points, because I knew I wasn't going to be bubble free here, but I wanted to get the really the tips of the crystals bubble free. I then went in with the end of a cotton bud chopped off and just very gently trying to dislodge bubbles. Now you can see that I was poking this stick right down inside those pillars, which I think dislodge some of the colour at the bottom. So when you see the final result, you can see that some of that colour has bled upwards, so it looks like it's bled downwards when the crystals flipped over. And that is because I was poking a stick in there, so that was my bad. But there were so many bubbles. I don't have a pressure pot, so I spent a solid 15 minutes with my little stick just running along all the facets, particularly on this clear one, because that was going to be nowhere to hide if that was full of bubbles.
It's 30 hours since I poured these. I hadn't intended to leave it for 30 hours, but I've been out all day today working, so it has been left that long. This one, I guess I could leave it as is, but there's still a little bit of room, so I'm just going to finish that with a top layer of clear. It's hard to tell what the colour ombre is going to be like in that, but I'm sure it'll be fine. This is completely clear at the moment, and I could not decide what colour mica powder to brush onto this, so I've gone for one that is not one that I normally gravitate towards. I tend to go for the blues, greens, purples. This is called Olive, and it's gold with a, no it's not, it's like a champagne-y silver colour, but it's got like a pink, goldy green colour shift. The amount of colour shift in this is extraordinary. So I wanted to do something. Actually, what I really wanted to do is something pale blue. I do have a pale blue mica, but it's not colour shifting, so I'm going to try this one first. I have plenty of resin, so if I want to do it in another colour I can do. Again, I didn't quite have enough resin to take this up to the height that I really wanted it to be yesterday, but I'm just going to brush it with this anyway, and I'm sure it'll be fine. And yeah, I guess I'm going to have to top this up with black. I hadn't actually thought about that. That might look a bit weird. It could work with clear on the top. The colours aren't as striking when you put clear mica on, but I kind of want this to be subtle, and I have done things with pale coloured micas with just clear on the back, and I do quite like it, and I think for a crystal that could work. Dilemma now. I was intending for this to have a black base. What do I do? Oh gosh. To be honest, the black really makes these colours stand out, so I think I'm going to go for that. I think I'm going to brush the inside of the base as well, so the base won't be solid black. Oh, I don't know. Oh, why is it so hard to make a decision? I'm gonna go for it. Maybe not all the way up. I don't know. Don't know whether to do this black. My plan from the get-go was to make the base black so that the colour from underneath popped more, and that will make it kind of show up in the crystal pillars inside a bit more. Oh. Whatever I do, I'm going to wish I did the other, so well, I really wish I'd had enough clear to kind of fill the columns, but it's kind of half a centimetre-ish from the top, so it's going to look a bit weird that there's like a very definite line around the base of the pillars, but I'm sure it's going to look pretty whatever I do. To be fair, pretty much anything with these mica powders in is gorgeous. this all of these Chameleon powders are just stunning. I say it in every video that I use them, but they are so beautiful. I'm going to see if I can show you this before I pour the resin into it, see if you can see just how stunning that is. Kind of hard to see with the light where it is, but wow. So what I need to do now is go off camera and mix up my resin for this top layer, because this technically is probably a little deep for it, but I have some Vista One left over, so I'm going to use that up. This is going to take a thin layer, top that up as well once I've added the black pigment.
So after mixing my resin for a solid 5 minutes, I just made sure that I filled this mould up, but not so much that the top was domed, because it has to sit on this base, so you want that to be nice and flat. So once I was happy with that, I moved it out of the way, then added the black pigment. So I'm using the pigment from Vista. It's absolutely gorgeous. Mixed that in until I had the colour that I was happy with, and just poured that on top of the other crystal mould. Yeah, I wish I hadn't put the black in, but I'll talk more about that at the end. Quick spritz with alcohol just to help stop any bubbles from forming on the surface.
Hi guys, it's been a couple of days now. These are really solid. It's been over 2 days. I've brought them out of my craft room because I've got some other resin curing that's not quite done yet, and I wanted to actually talk to you while I demold this. So I really do not know what to expect. So I love purple, so I'm going to leave that big boy till last. This one, I'm really not sure if I'm going to like the way that it's got this boundary, but it might look nice. Let's just get it out of here and have a look. Oh, there we go. So this is not the thickest mould in the world, so I want to just try to be a little bit careful. Should have brought my alcohol spray down, because that kind of helps when you're oh, that colour is beautiful. I can already see that this is Air Bubble City, but it's okay. It's my first time making it. Boy, this resin is so hard. Okay, if I can... Oh, congratulations, you've given birth to a crystal cluster. There we go. Ooh, okay. Well, unless you're looking at it from the top, you cannot... Oh yeah, you can see actually. I was going to say, unless you're looking at it from the top, I didn't think you could see any of this colour underneath. Something funky's gone on there. But a lot of air bubbles. I spent ages trying to get these air bubbles out, but boy is that resin clear. I can see why people have pressure pots. I do not. I'll take it into different light so we can see how those facets look, but it's actually really pretty. Don't love the boundary here, but I don't hate it either. Next time, if I did the same thing, I would try to get the resin to here before putting the mica powder in, but yeah, I'm not hating that. It's cool. If we can look past the air bubbles, that's really pretty. Right, I love purple. This mould is quite shiny, so the crystals are lovely and shiny on the outside. This one is not, so I really don't know how these are going to look with a matte finish, because crystals not normally matte. Well, some of them can be. It depends what the minerals are. Hey, Easter. This mould is the stickiest silicone ever. Like, I'd had it a day and it was totally covered in cat hair, and the cats hadn't even been in the room with it. So I had to spend a solid half an hour with sellotape trying to get all the cat hair out. Another tricky one to demould. Oh, hello. Try not to tear this because the silicone is quite thin in places where the crystals have kind of overlapped and doesn't look like it's been cast with the greatest of respect. Oh, I'm being that person that I watch on YouTube going, be gentle with your mould, but you can't get this out unless you're a tiny bit on the brutal side, because it's not going to pull outwards because the crystals are all tall columns. So yeah, next time I will bring my alcohol spray down because that helps to release it, or spray it with a mould release, because this one is tricky. Oh, come on. Ah. Giving birth to twins today, apparently. I meant to say in my introduction, the reason I've chosen purple as well is because I love it. Peter, who, shout out to Peter, he's been a long time follower of mine on Twitter. We've known each other for years online, never met. But Peter's lovely. He watches all of my videos across all 3 channels and is so lovely and supportive. And he said, would I be able to do something that looked a bit like amethyst? Amethyst was my grandmother's birthstone, so I wanted to do that. Oh, wow. Okay, so a lot of the colourant, oh boy, there's a lot of texture here, which I think I could sand out if I really wanted to. The ombre is kind of not there. The tips are slightly darker, but a lot of that colourant has just bled down. But it's okay, it's pretty. Crystals are not perfectly ombre'd in their colour the way that they lay down in nature. But this is awesome as a ring holder. You can use it to store your rings on, your jewellery on, or you can just look at it because crystals are awesome. I'm just going to say, I don't think crystals have any healing properties, but from a geology perspective they're very pretty. So this mould is not the best, I have to say. I did see somebody casting something like this, saying that you could spray it afterwards. I have no idea how you spray a resin coat on top. What you could do possibly is kind of brush it on, I guess. But yeah, the texture of this is not my favourite. It could be sanded back, as I said, and I think if you kind of brushed it with some clear resin and just let that cure on top somehow, it's going to run down and pool, but I think that would still be okay with the overall crystal vibe. But it's very nice to hold though, for all that its texture is not lovely and shiny and crystally like this one. This mould is really pretty. I haven't executed it particularly well with my harsh line of mica powder on the bottom, but that is gorgeous. I really like this. Is this a jewellery holder too? I guess it could be. You can sit your stuff on there if you wanted. But yeah, you can kind of see the coloured tips on that. Okay, I'm going to bring you down for a close-up and then we'll see if we can get them in a different light and away from this hideous pink silicone. I hate pink, but all my silicone mats are pink. Okay, yeah, I'll bring you down for a look. So here is the green one. Well, it's olive, but it looks blue and green. The colour shift on this is nothing like it looked in the pot. It's very green. It's kind of more Aurora, actually. But you can see how the colour is being picked up in the tips. Like, literally, can I ever do a video without a cat photobombing? The answer is no. Yeah, that's pretty. If you can look past the bubbles, that is really pretty. I like that a lot. So let's have a look at the the cat. Apparently we need to look at the cat first. On camera it looks better than it feels in my hand, if that makes sense, but I do like it. I do like it. And obviously this mould, it's not the best, so to get a particular result, if you're wanting a lovely shiny result, you're not going to get it from this. But not all of the geode crystals you see are shiny. Some of them are kind of quite mattified depending on what minerals they contain. So yeah, I'm sure that I can make this work. What I should have done before doing these is look at some actual crystals instead of people just making them with resin. So yeah, you can see that there is a colour difference when you tilt it down. You can see that the tips are darker. The base is a hot mess, we'll ignore that, but yeah, it's pretty. The colour is gorgeous. I really love the colour. Cool tone purple is definitely does it for me.
So I've put these on my rotating turntable just to show you how they catch the light. I don't think I was expecting that this would create kind of little diffraction rainbows, but it does, and it's so pretty. Obviously you've got the colour changing from the mica. Yeah, the mica powder colour is nothing like I expected it was going to be, but both of these actually have beautiful reflections when you look at them on the turntable. They just look so pretty, and yeah, I just wasn't prepared for how gorgeous they were when you rotate them in the sunlight. They're just so lovely. So while these have not been executed perfectly, the purple mould is not the best. Well, the mould I made the purple crystal with is not the absolute best. I still really like both of these. I didn't think I'd like the symmetrical one as much as I do, because crystals in nature just don't look like that. They don't form these totally symmetrical clusters like this. But it's so beautiful, and the little diffraction rainbows it casts just make it like a little sun catcher almost. So I really love both, and I know there are things I'd do differently next time. There's so many possibilities for these, quite honestly. There are literal endless, limitless possibilities, so I'm looking forward to playing with these moulds again. I do want to experiment with some kind of top coat on the purple cluster mould, because as I said, the finish just isn't the best compared to the other one. There's a huge quality difference between the two, but that symmetrical one giving me these rainbows, I will totally take that. So happy with that. So if you've watched till the end here, I'm really grateful. Thank you so much. Don't forget to hit like, and stay tuned at the very end for a little bit more bonus cat footage if that floats your boat. Thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next one. Bye for now.
So yeah, I don't like the line from the side, but that oh my god. So yeah, I think that picking up the colours in the tips of those crystals, really pretty. I like that a lot. So let's have a look at the cat. Apparently we need to look at the cat first. Secondly, we have this.